Welcome, everyone. We're very excited to be here for the event today. We have three Lightning legends here on stage with us, and it will be a real pleasure to invite them to speak and to join us. As you know, we are in the middle of Legends of Lightning, a tournament that's 2 months long. There's 2.5 BTC in prizes, and there's already more than 25 projects being built and about 100 makers on the platform. So if you haven't already seen what's happening and who's building, go ahead, and we hope that you check out the site. I wanted to take the opportunity to invite Roy, André, and Moritz and say thank you for joining us. We are very, very excited to learn a little bit about your background, what made you join Bitcoin and Lightning, and obviously how your company is trying to innovate and change how we can be more than just a group of Bitcoin lovers, and it becomes more massified. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here,
Thank you for having us, Maria.
Very excited. Roy, if you'd like to come first, we'd love to just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you studied, how you got into Lightning, about the company, and we can go from there.
Sure. My name is Roy Sheinfeld. I'm from Tel Aviv, Israel. I didn't study computer science. I didn't study computers at all, and I don't have any structure educational background. Just started programming a while ago, a long time ago, actually, 25 years ago. I took part in different positions in the Israeli high-tech industry, and previously to Breez, I was the co-founder and CTO of enterprise B2B collaboration company called Harmony. And since 2018, I decided to dedicate my entire time to Bitcoin. With the inception of Lightning, I saw a great opportunity to help Bitcoin do a transformation from a store of value to medium of exchange. So I decided to dedicate my full-time energy and resources to Bitcoin. And that's when we started Breez together. I started together with two other co-founders, and with a goal to bring Lightning to the masses while preserving all the core characteristics of Bitcoin, meaning doing it in a non-custodial fashion, bringing Lightning in a non-custodial fashion to the masses. We started off by building the Breez app, which was aiming to simplify a non-custodial Lightning interaction, and we brought a lot of new notions to the market that were aiming in simplifying a Lightning user experience. Lightning service providers and just-in-time channels and zero confirmation channels and zero channel reserves. A lot of stuff that I don't want to get too technical too soon, but a lot of stuff that are geared toward simplifying the user experience. And in the past year, we've been focused on broadening our platform and opening our platform for third-party integration. We're working on something we call the Breez SDK, which allows every company, every vendor, every developer to use our infrastructure in order to facilitate non-custodial Lightning payments within their apps.
You are among the wallets that everyone mentions whenever we're talking about non-custodial. If I were to just ask you in one sentence, what separates Breez apart from the rest? What would you like that to be thought of?
Well, I know currently we're associated with wallets. Actually, I would love that in a year we won't use the term wallets anymore. That's actually what I would love, because that would mean that we've kind of out of the tech stage of Lightning Network wallets. For me, it's a manifestation of the fact that we're still not there. You don't call Cash App a wallet, you don't call PayPal a wallet, you don't call Robinhood or other apps wallets. So I want Lightning to be integrated into mainstream applications, and I want to be one of the facilitators. We want to be one of the facilitators that make it happen. That's what I would love. So I'm on a mission to abolish the term wallet.
A great way to say that. André, tell us, you went from gaming and now you're in fintech and doing way more with your own Zebedee. Please tell us a little bit about your background, how you came into Lightning, and also what you want your company to be thought of and seen as.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, Bolt Off Fun, thank you so much for having Legends of Lightning Volume 2. Volume 1 was great. I've been seeing all the activity in the website, so it's awesome to be here again, supporting the initiative. Just on Roy's point, fully agree. Earlier this year, the Zebedee wallet became the Zebedee app, and it's an app more than ever. So I too agree that the maturity of the industry will move that term away, right? The term wallet will cease to exist because every app will have a wallet functionality. But back to my side, so I've been in the industry for many years now. As early as I think Roy and I have crossed paths online for countless years before we met in person as well. And then I think my first foray into Lightning was in late 2017, running testnet nodes, and then in early 2018 during the Chaincode Labs Lightning Network residency. So I was amongst one of 10 folks that were picked for that. And that was before Lightning was anything. It was just an idea. And I remember how excited we were. And right by my side, I had folks like Rene Picard, who wrote the Mastering Lightning Network book. I had folks like Alex Bosworth teaching me. I had folks like Pierre Rochard learning right next to me. So it was quite the experience. And literally the week after that, I quit my cushy job. And I said, I have to do something in this industry because I'm not going to be able to sleep if I don't. The premise, I'm originally from Brazil, and the premise of money on the internet never lived up until I realized, came across Bitcoin. But for a lot of developers out there, Bitcoin layer 1 can be quite cumbersome. It's quite in depth. You need to know opcodes and script sigs and things like that. And a lot of app developers out there aren't going to do that. So one of the premises of Zebedee and the Zebedee platform is to demystify that, right? It's to make it incredibly simple and easy for someone to plug and play with Bitcoin and with Lightning into their experiences. So we have on the developer side, we have a robust developer dashboard with a very robust API. We were actually the first, fully self-serve developer dashboard for Lightning. What that means is you can go to zebedee.io and sign up and get started. You don't need to speak to anyone. You don't need to do anything else. You just plug money into your application. And we have lots of SDKs and templates ready for you to get started. We currently power hundreds of applications in market with lots and lots of developer partners, ranging from music streaming to gaming to tournament software to full-blown payouts and rewards. So it's really been quite a big journey. And then over the past year, we've been really focusing a lot on the Zebedee app. The Zebedee app is where folks really get started on the consumer side. It's the single best way to earn Bitcoin. You download the app, you get started with your familiar email and password, and you're able to get earn Bitcoin playing games, participating on surveys with friends. And now, as of a couple months ago, Zebedee is a full-blown Noster client. What that means is you have a full-blown social media network that you can zap each other, you can earn from each other. And Zebedee is the only place where content creators keep 99% of their value. So zbd.gg is the entry point for consumers. And I look forward to talking about all things Lightning and Noster in today's session.
Thank you, André. Talking about not sleeping until you switched industries. Today, currently, what doesn't let you sleep at night? Like, what is your number one obsession?
Wow, on the spot. Number one obsession. I think, honestly, my number one obsession is getting, it's breaking down that barrier for people that haven't yet gotten the Bitcoin bug. And when I say that, I don't actually mean just the colloquial orange pill, etc. It's removing the negative stigma from Bitcoin and making it simple and easy. And for us, it's just earning it. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to go through hoops and frictions. You don't have to sign up for it. Here's a little thing that you earn. So I guess the thing that keeps me awake at night is making sure that everyone that comes across Zebedee gets Bitcoin, because the second they get some Bitcoin, then they go to the proverbial rabbit hole. So yeah, that's our goal, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Moritz, it's your turn. I've used your app. We connected with Volt.fun. We're very familiar. You were one of the first wallets that now are integrated in web. Please tell us about how you came about into the industry. What did you study? Like, how did you get the orange pill and then obviously the purple pill? I know that you're working with different integrations. Just tell us about yourself. Tell us about the company, Alby, and what you see about what is happening in the space.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Marina, for the invitation. Also, it's also quite an honor for me to be here together with Roy and André. I came into Bitcoin around 2013 because university stuff, master thesis about Bitcoin mining. Then worked a little bit in venture capital. Unfortunately,
Wait, they let you do a master thesis on Bitcoin mining? Wow.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had a good professor back then, so he was quite liberal on that. So, but then still, I mean, it took until 2018, 19, when I got like really at least part-time into Lightning. I have also a business background, and because the ecosystem was quite developer-driven back then, still, it was hard to get in there, but luckily, because of Vulgo Ventures, I had a part-time job as research analyst, wrote some Lightning reports. Also good to see them now continued by River, actually, and that's where I came across Alby. Alby is really like started on a hackathon, like so many other projects in this field. The browser extension itself got a lot from Joule back then, which was a little bit like less actively developed. So that's why then Alby was started. It's a open source project, and we were working on that like 1 year, also part of the Bitcoin design committee. What was great because it got us a lot of help in the beginning.
Yes.
And then I think we did some things right. Had like really good quality in the apps that we built, and then some companies came like approached us, and together with them we developed some like a small ecosystem of products and services around the browser extension. So at the core is really your Alby Lightning wallet, basically. And the idea is, and it's probably very similar to Roy and André, is that you can connect your account, your Lightning account, to a variety of other applications out there, because I think that's where payments will happen, or Lightning payments will happen, and also can shine in the future, is when you have these native payment experiences. And this is what you can do with your Alby account. And the browser extension is just basically another app to that, where you can connect your account to the browser extension. It's connected to apps in podcasting, listener
the
apps,
third-party
also
integration,
podcast
right? What are
Exactly,
your favorite
yeah.
third-party integrations so far?
I'm still a big fan of our very first one. It's rss.com. It's a podcast hosting company, and it's really so boring that I find it interesting, because it has nothing to do with Web3 basically, but obviously we can show some like Lightning Bitcoin has some value proposition there, so that they are convinced to integrate that. This is one interesting use case. I'm sure we can talk about that. And and but still, I think the Alby browser extension itself, with the open standard of Apple, is really driving a lot of use cases, especially on the web, because it makes it for developers super easy to build Lightning applications, to connect to wallets for payments. And that's also, we've seen a lot of traction there. And that's also why we've improved our services for developers. They also have a dashboard today, a self-service dashboard, where they can see all these different APIs and SDKs that we offer them. A lot of them are open source. Yeah, that's really what we want to make it. Like, when people think about Alby, what we want, like, is really, it's your companion when it comes to Lightning payments on the web.
Perfect.
On a PWA, and also on native mobile apps now.
So I have a question for the three of you. I grew up in South America. I was born in the US, but grew up in South America. And for work in particular, I used to go to Brazil a lot, André. And I would always tell everybody, if you want to sell anything, first sell it in Brazil, then go everywhere, because they're very tough. It's like New York. They will not let you have just anything fly. They're very, very tough. But once they say yes, you're good to go. And then you go to Mexico and Brazil and Argentina and other places to really sell your product or idea, right? And in this world of open source that we're talking about right now, there's this fear, and I've heard it through some of the tournament participants. Well, they're going to steal my idea. They're going to take this. How do you deal with this open source concept, A? And B, how does it apply to the fact that, for example, in this particular tournament, we're hoping to include people from Indonesia, from Brazil, from El Salvador, for them to not be afraid of sharing their ideas, and for them to be bold enough to compete in this global arena? Are there ways that you have approached this, or you have seen talent evolve? And with that question of open source in particular, right, that there's that fear that they're going to copy you. Why do you not fear that?
You want me to take the lead on? Yeah. Go ahead, André.
No, go for it. I was saying you can go. Yeah, please.
Oh, okay. I think that's bullshit. Ideas are cheap. Ideas don't cost anything. Ideas aren't worth anything. Execution, that's the key. Everyone has ideas. In order to build a startup, it's even unrelated to Bitcoin and Lightning. Let's put Bitcoin and Lightning aside. If you want to build a company, if you want to build a startup, start talking about your idea with anyone and everyone that you can. Share your idea, get help from people, know how to harness energy for people to get people backing your idea, providing feedback on your idea. That's the most important thing. And you can't do that without sharing and discussing your idea in details with people, because it's not about your idea. If you thought about this idea, 100 other people thought about the same idea. So ideas are out there, and they're very, very cheap, and anyone can have ideas. It's not about the ideas, it's about executing. And if we're talking about execution, I think specifically in the context of Bitcoin and Lightning, you can't really have a Bitcoin company that isn't open source, because if we're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about minimizing trust. One way to you can't have a Bitcoin company, let's say Breez, let's take Breez for example. I can't have, we're a Bitcoin company, but you need to trust us. In order to execute your Lightning payment, in order to send and receive Lightning payment, trust us. It's Bitcoin, but I'm closing the code. The code is proprietary. You can't run it. You can't audit it. You can't do anything with it. You need to trust us. That's not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is about minimizing trust. It's about decentralization. It's about preventing vendor lock, and you get all that by having an open source code. Open source for us specifically was huge, because we were able. I have a team of developers right now, at a team of 12 developers. Most of them came from open source contributions. Meaning by the fact that they worked for Breez before even officially working for Breez, because they contribute to our open source project. So an open source is a great tool for pragmatically a great tool for recruiting, and I think Moritz and André will identify that with the point that the scarcest resource in our ecosystem is talent. There's not enough talent in the Lightning ecosystem. So open source is a great way to find the right talent, to vet the talent before hiring. So that's one practical example of why you should open source. But it's not just that. Eyeballs on the code, the ability for people to participate, to create a community around your open source project is huge for a young startup. So for us, I don't see any other way of building Breez, and I think open source is all the benefits that open sourcing our code gave us are irreplaceable.
Yeah, I would echo the sentiment. We have hired lots of people from the open source side because we've seen on some of our, whether it's SDK or many of our open source initiatives, like they commit to it, they push PRs, they engage, and then eventually they become full-time employees. One piece that I wanted to touch on is co-opetition. It's this term that I like to use. Roy and I have talked about it before. Bitcoin is a non-existent piece of the pie when it comes to financial transactions in the world, like a non-existent piece. And then Lightning is a non-existent piece in the entire Bitcoin space. So we are simply like we don't matter in the grand scheme of things. And so if you're worried about your ideas being the problem here, and let me rephrase, we don't matter yet, right? Like in the grand scheme of the global scale. But if you're worried about your ideas, I would echo Roy's point. Like an idea is like it's worthless. It's just an idea. You have to execute on it. And so I gave a talk at Nashville and the Lightning Summit talking about cubes. And if you don't share your idea, someone else couldn't take that idea and build upon it and build something better and improve it and build a better version of that protocol. If you keep it to yourself, you don't get feedback from others on making your implementation better. So like keeping that to yourself is actually hurting you, and it's hurting the industry, because the more ideation that can happen, the more brainstorming that can happen, the better the outcome will be. So I would say, to each their own, but I wouldn't be in the mindset of keeping it to yourself, because there's a lot more benefit to sharing it, because people build upon it and build amazing experiences upon your technology, right?
Definitely. I think also it's a great way to build trust with like anybody out there. Could be potential users who don't know like what they're actually using, at least for something like the Alby browser extension. It's super crucial to be open source, because then people can check, okay, what is actually happening there? Is the extension really client side only, for example? But also for as Roy said, and André, like for hiring designers, whoever wants to interact, contributes. It's very useful, and also investors. It's easier for them to assess, because you can show something in an easier way. You don't need to be so restricted. It takes a lot of complexity also out of the equation, in my point of view.
Show me an example where open source hurt a company. Show me one example.
Oh, I'm in your camp. I'm completely in your camp. I've been in front of so many people who are afraid of open source or afraid of going that route. So that's why I asked you the question. Right?
Yeah.
These
people, I want these people to think about like examples where open source hurt an existing company.
honestly, what I love the most is, more than anything, I think that if you built it, you know how to fix it, right? When there's a problem, when there's an issue, you know, whoever copied it is not going to be able to fix the problem or anything that comes up. And so people come to you or go back to the builders of the product because they know you can problem solve, fix, and grow, iterate, and evolve, right? I think that's the value of open source and the value of being in the space. Regarding the ever elusive question of monetization, what are angles that you think are really interesting? Like, for example, we focused on tournaments, right? So that people can see you can see ideas, you can see projects that are happening. Are there things that you hope will mature in the space of Bitcoin and Lightning? Obviously, there's grants and there's tournaments and residency that Andre mentioned are helpful routes. But is there anything that you're doing that you didn't think possible until you started in the space, or that you're having problems or you find a very valuable solution because of where you are? And let's start with Moritz, since we had him last in the last one.
So are you talking like funding sources for early projects, especially?
For you, yeah, for early projects
in
and
general.
for how you grew, yes.
Yeah, I mean, like in the beginning, it's you need to see, and this is also like, how can we connect the topic before, is like, how can you attract, how can you find new contributors to your project? You will not be able to do that on yourself. You need to find people who can contribute, and if you're an open source project, it's way easier for them to help you to.
I think we lost you in the mic, Moritz. Can you check? Is it working?
Not from my side, no.
I'm sorry. So does it work now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for this warning. But in the meantime, there are also prize money. Unfortunately, it's there are not enough hackathons in my point of view in Bitcoin, especially compared to all the other ecosystems. And it's crazy what like developers communities they've built up. This is something where all of us can do better, and I think
they're throwing money, right, in other projects and protocols. It feels.
Yes. But Legends of Lightning is a great start into that. Really combining the power of several smaller hackathons makes a lot of sense here. We have a lot of cool now, like with OpenSats, for example, institutions that support great projects out there that might otherwise have a hard time to get some funding. And yeah, in general, I would say, especially when it comes to seed funding, pre-seed funding, the ecosystem of venture capital is, especially in Bitcoin, got a lot better the last years. So I would definitely say there are good sources now.
Do you live in the post-Bitcoin world? Do you pay in Bitcoin? Do you get paid in Bitcoin? How does the company like try to live that dream that we are telling people they should live? And you can choose to answer it whichever way you want, percentages or not at all. But what is the goal internally as the company moves forward?
At Alby, 100% Bitcoin only. But this also, we want to like leave it up to our team members, how they want to be paid. We have a core team that who receives regular salaries, and they can tell us be paid in Bitcoin or fiat, and then we do that. Our income is Bitcoin only so far. Yeah, and this is something we want to expand on.
I wanted to see if Roy had a question for Andre and Moritz, and vice versa, so you guys can ask each other questions too.
Well, I was going to ask a question. Yeah, one of the more exciting developments in Lightning recently has been all of the, VLS stuff and relating to, the notion of decoupling a node or parts of a node. And I know, Roy, you just came out with the green light stuff. I wanted to understand, like, does it make sense to go into that? I'm just curious because one thing that is challenging in Lightning, and we all know this, is onboarding folks, right? There's liquidity challenges, channel management, the whole thing. Lots of teams are trying to abstract that away in different ways. We abstract it by providing you an API, and that's one way. This is the best way. It's one way. And Breez is doing something different where they're trying to use this LSP model with the VLS and so on. So I'm just interested on like if you have any thoughts or how that's going or how the reception has been, or if there's like massive technical hurdles behind the scenes that you went through that is interesting to talk about. It's just been a big development, so I'm curious to learn more.
Great question. I think simplifying Lightning access, meaning decomposing node functionality. A Lightning node. What is a Lightning node? Lightning node is it has 4 functions basically. It needs to sign transaction. It needs to monitor on-chain the on-chain activity in order to understand what's going on with your Lightning channels. It needs to preserve channel state, and it needs to kind of follow the gossip information of the Lightning network. That's the 4 core function of a Lightning node, and every task is very challenging from a technical standpoint. So one way to simplify access to the Lightning network is kind of to decouple these different responsibilities. And when I say non-custodial Lightning, with all the function, you can monitor the on-chain in a non-custodial fashion, meaning you can delegate on-chain monitoring to a third party. You can delegate gossip monitoring to a third party. You can delegate even channel state preservation to a third party. The only thing that you can't delegate is signing the transaction. Like if we want Lightning to be non-custodial, users need to sign the underlying transactions in order to send and receive payments. So the VLS technology really helps in this decomposition of the Lightning node functionality, and you can basically have a client that the only thing that the client actually does is signing transaction, and all the other functionalities of a Lightning node are being handled in an external software, and that's basically what we're doing at Breez now. We're taking a hybrid approach where the mobile app doesn't run a fully featured Lightning node like we do now with the Breez wallet. The Breez SDK, the client of the Breez SDK, the only functionality that it encompasses is the signage of this Lightning transaction, and on-chain monitoring, gossip monitoring, channel state preservation is done in the cloud. And I think it really lowers the barrier of entry. It's really simplifying the UX. For example, if you ever use the Breez app, you know that sometimes when you want to send a payment or receive a payment, you need to wait for on-chain synchronization because the mobile app, the mobile operating system has a lot of limitation in terms of providing CPU to mobile application. So you can't always synchronize the channel state and the on-chain information in the background. So sometimes when you open Breez, you see the annoying syncing operation. You don't have that with the Breez SDK because syncing has been delegated to another component. And I think this goes a long way with improving user experience. But yes, it was super challenging. Getting the VLS project to be a production ready quality and working with the Greenlight team in order kind of to make sure the user experience is on par with what we used to have, has been a challenge. But happy to say that we're getting there, and it's coming along really nicely. And I think VLS in general going to be an integral part of Lightning in the future. I'm sure Breez won't be the only company that's going to use VLS.
Amazing. Love to hear that.
I have one question to the two of you, because you probably talk a lot to businesses in different industries. Are there sort of like some of them, do they have strong preferences for example, a non-custodial Lightning integration or a actually custodial Lightning integration for whatever reason?
Should I take this one? So from our side, you know, a little bit of on us. So we are a regulated fintech in the US. So we have MTLs and licenses and the whole 9 yards. One thing that happens is very clearly is usually depends on the size of the business partner. The larger the business partner or sort of the accounts you're trying to go for, most likely they will need a lot of checks and balances, compliance checks, regulations, yada yada yada. So there have been cases in the past where it's a conversation non-starter for them to engage with a business that is not you know, regulated or compliant or et cetera. And for them, that does mean everything is handled by you, the third party. I don't touch anything. So it does imply the custodial aspect. It does depend on the industry. Some industries want the nitty grittiness of having access to the node because they want to do things in that space. Some industries just want to do payments. Some industries just want to do rewards, and so they just want to hit a button and send rewards, right? So it really depends on the business partner. You know, currently the thinking is that unless they are very Bitcoin forward, a lot of them want easy solutions. They don't want you know, necessarily the most Bitcoin solution. They want the easy solution that will make an impact for them, because at the end of the day, they're running a business. So it really depends. We have seen all sorts of things. Similarly, we have seen folks that want to run nodes and come to us, and that's you know, a non-starter for us. But that's fine, because again, we work with lots of other partners whose focus is on doing that infrastructure for nodes, right? And vice versa. So I think it's collaborative, but it really depends on the industry from our side. We've seen all kinds. Yeah, I don't know if Roy sees something different, but
yeah, so same here. I think there are pros and cons to every approach. When it comes, for example, when it comes to small amounts, it's very hard today to do small amounts in a non-custodial solution, because there's a friction of creating a new channel, and creating a channel costs a fee. And basically the fee currently at Breez is 2,000 sats. 2,000 sats, it's a lot of money for specific territories or for specific use cases. If you're earning a few sats in a game, you don't want to spend all your sats on creating a channel. So that's where custodial solutions are better. There are other use cases where non-custodial solutions are better. For example, if you want to have a global, readily available product, it's very hard to do in a custodial product, because there's no 100% coverage of a custodial solution from a. Yeah, I just talked today, and it's a business on its own. Like, I'm sure Zebedee, like that's core part of their business to make sure they have the regulation in coverage, as much as coverage as possible. I spoke today with a partner in Japan. Like the regulatory barrier of having regulated entity in Japan is crazy. Like
yeah, you need to basically be, after CoinCheck, the government said, nope, you need to be this incredibly accredited institution to provide this capability. So
Yeah.
Agree.
So it's a huge barrier of entry for custodial solutions there, for example. I think there's also friction with when you get to a specific threshold when it comes to KYC and AML, which non-custodial solutions, at least with the current legislation, can provide a better user experience. But I think it's very territory specific, and I think there are pros and cons to every approach. And I think when you look, for example, I read an article from Galoy a month ago. I think you'll see hybrid solutions when it comes to custodial, non-custodial. So I can definitely see solutions evolve where you start custodial and then based on your use case, you're kind of converting to a non-custodial solution. That's also possible with the work that Zebedee are doing, with the work that Breez is doing, with the work that other platform providers are building in the ecosystem.
If I were to ask you what's on your browser or on your phone app, what are apps and products that are in the Bitcoin and Lightning space that you really love and admire and you wish they were here on stage with you today? Who else is doing interesting stuff?
I love Thunder Games. I love everything that Thunder Games are doing. I play the Thunder Games game, unfortunately. I started using PrimalNet recently as well, which is a cool Nostr app. PrimalNet.
PrimalNet.
Yeah. For me, the apps that really interest me, like, don't get me wrong, I'm a Bitcoiner. We all are, and so I love the Bitcoin apps. But you've had all the wallets. You've had all. Do you see what I mean? Like, I'm really interested in the apps that bring Bitcoin experiences into other things. So they're not necessarily Bitcoin apps. They are games. They're podcasting apps. So, for example, Fountain is one of my favorite ones. It's how I listen to podcasts most of the time. I'm biased because they are powered by Zebedee, but that's besides the point. I think Bitcoin Miner, which is a game by Fum Games, is one of the most addictive games I've ever. And I'm not a massive stay in the phone the whole day playing games, but that thing is incredibly addictive, and it's a game. It doesn't have, for me, it doesn't actually have to be about the Bitcoin, right? It's a game, but I get a little bit of a reward. Another one that I really like is Slice. If you're familiar with Brave browser, you earn, but you earn whatever token they give you. Slice is a browser extension that does the exact same. So as you're browsing the internet, you receive Sats rewards, right, which you can cash out immediately. So I'm really interested in the intersection of Bitcoin usage in applications out in the wild, and a bit less on Bitcoin usage in Bitcoin apps. Those would be like three apps that come to mind every time I think about it.
I want Duolingo to have Sats, right?
That is genius. Whenever that happens, whoever cracks that is genius.
I mean, he's from Guatemala. He's a really, really smart guy. So we got to just orange pill him. Moritz, how about you?
Nostr, another Nostr app. Unfortunately, not so popular, but what they recently also integrated is now you can connect a wallet and you see, for example, a balance and of your own like of Alby, you can now see the balance actually in an app. It's a quite nice experiment. We will see to what it leads, because then you suddenly have a more connected experience of the actual app and a wallet, and it's not so separate anymore.
Nostr, TUR is what you're saying? Nostr?
Nostr, exactly, yeah. Gesso is another app. Live commerce, I think something that, especially in Europe, you cannot think of. That something like this exists, but I think it's huge in Asia. And yeah, it's a super clean app. They have done it really, really well. And also Bitcoin here only plays a small part, because you can do everything what you can do with Bitcoin. You can also do with I think PayPal or any or fiat money in general. But this is just interesting for people, like you want to be, that's a little bit what Roy said, you want to be available, you want to have an audience, like, and you want to address it globally. And Bitcoin is just a good way to do that, because everyone can have Bitcoin. It's, for some of us, it's easier to have Bitcoin than any other currency. And then you can tip artists on Gesso while they're painting a picture, for example.
I haven't heard
And
about
another app I have to shout out. I have to do a shout out for Bitrefill. That's a service that I use all the time. So
Oh, I got their
I mean,
phone, their international calling phone thing.
Yeah, I feel like Bitrefill is not even an app. I mean, it is an app, but it's not an app. It's like it's a public good, It's like
exactly.
it's like a public good for anyone that uses Lightning, and like I use it too much, so let's not. Yeah.
Yeah. You can be a Bitcoiner without using Bitrefill. If you want to kind of spend your Bitcoin, Bitrefill is as an essential part of your toolkit.
Correct.
Well, thank you, guys. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with, especially regarding to the tournament and the people that are building in the tournament? As you know, we have people from Indonesia, Brazil, El Salvador working on projects. And so if there's any message that you would like to give them, I'd really appreciate it if we can close with that.
Yeah, my closing thoughts would be that Bitcoin is a lot of things to a lot of people. It's not one thing. Try and find what Bitcoin is for the users that you're building products to, and then build for that use case first and then evolve. What happens a lot is people try to build Bitcoin apps and then it starts becoming everything Bitcoin. It's like, no, just focus on the experience that you're trying to provide, and hear your customers and provide that experience with Bitcoin. That goes a long way. And we're here to help if you're using Zebedee for any of your projects.
Yeah, I think it's really all about like getting started, doing the first step. Don't like overcomplicate it. Work on something that you maybe miss personally, and try to solve that for yourself. And I'm sure there will be also others who have the same problem. And along the way, you will discover them. And if you need help, then yeah, reach out to us, moritz@getalby.com anytime.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. But I 100% agree with André and Moritz here. Solve a problem, solve a real problem, solve a problem that you have experienced, and focus on build a product that you will want to use. And Bitcoin is a mean to an end, and you need to think about the end and what is the problems that you're solving. We've matured and we've grown a lot in the Lightning ecosystem in the past couple of years. I think we need to focus less on the problems of the underlying technology and start focusing more on use cases and building real solutions to real problems. So I know that a lot of people are coming to the hackathon with a technological mindset. Think about business as well, and think about like the problems that you want to solve. Think more of that and less on the technical solutions to these problems.
Very well put.
Thank you all for joining us, and we appreciate it. I know that the builders are going to be very attentive to what happens, and thank you for being the Legends of Lightning on Legends of Lightning.
Thank you, Marina.
Thanks, Marina.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having us.
Fun team.
Bye, guys.
Don't drop off.